to have for the rest of America and the world. But first, here's my take. The Democratic Party has reacted to its series of recent election losses by once again concluding it needs a better economic message. As Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said last Sunday,
Democrats need a strong, bold, sharp-edged, and common-sense economic agenda.
The only disagreement within the party is about how sharp-edged and left-wing that message should be. But it is increasingly clear that the problem for Democrats has little to do with economics and much more to do with a cluster of issues they would rather not revisit about culture, social mores, and national identity. The Democratic economic agenda is broadly popular with the public. More people prefer the party's views to those of Republicans on taxes, poverty reduction, health care, government benefits, and even climate change and energy policy. The Democracy Fund commissioned a comprehensive study of voters in the 2016 presidential election, and one scholar, Lee Drutman, set out its first key finding. The primary conflict structuring the two parties involves questions of national identity, race, and morality. Focusing in on the people who voted for Obama in 2012 and then Trump in 2016, Drutman found they were remarkably close to the Democratic Party on economic issues, but they were far to the right on their attitudes towards immigrants, blacks, and Muslims, and much more likely to feel, quote, people like me are in decline, unquote. The Public Religion Research Institute and The Atlantic also conducted an important study to analyze the most powerful predictors of whether a white working-class voter would vote for Donald Trump. After party identification, the two best predictors were, quote, fears about cultural displacement, unquote, and support for deporting undocumented immigrants. Those who felt their economic conditions were poor or fair were actually slightly more likely to vote for Hillary Clinton. It's worth considering how much the Democratic Party has changed over the last 25 years on cultural issues. Bill Clinton's party was careful to come across as moderate on many social issues like immigration and gay rights. The Democrats eventually moved boldly leftward in some of these areas, like gay rights, out of an admirable sense of principle. On others, like immigration, they did so largely to court a growing segment of Democratic voters. But in a broader cultural sense, the Democratic Party moved left because it became a party dominated by urban, college-educated professionals. The party's defense of minorities and celebration of diversity are genuine and genuinely praiseworthy. But they have created great distance between itself and a broad swath of Middle America. This is a cultural gulf, and it can't be bridged by advocating smarter policies on tax credits, retraining, and early childhood education. The Democrats need to talk about America's national identity in a way that stresses the common elements that bind, not the particular ones that divide. For example, the party should take a position on immigration that is less absolutist and recognizes both the cultural and economic costs of large-scale immigration. The more I study the subject, the more I'm convinced that people cast their vote mostly based on an emotional bond with a candidate, a sense that they get each other. Democrats have to recognize this. They should always stay true to their ideals, of course, but yet they have to convey to a broad section of Americans, rural, less educated, older, whiter, that they understand and respect their lives, their values, their worth. It's a much harder balancing act than one more push to raise the minimum wage. But this cultural, social realm is the crossroads of American politics today. For more, go to CNN.com/Fareed and read my Washington Post column this week. And let's get started.